You paid off your mortgage. You figured when the time comes, the house goes to your kids. That assumption holds up right until it doesn't. Nearly 79% of Americans over 65 own their home. 64% own it free and clear. And those are the people most at risk, because all that equity in a paid-off house makes you a target. I'm covering 4 situations where the government, a private company, or your own homeowners association can legally take your home. The last one involves a hidden government claim that can attach to your home right now, and millions of American families have no idea it exists. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell. I cover things that affect your home, your finances, and your family that nobody explains until it is too late. The first situation involves your property taxes. Most people assume the county sends a bill, maybe a warning, and eventually works something out. In 29 states, that is not what happens. The government sells your debt to a private investor at auction. That investor pays your back taxes. Now you owe the investor, not the county, and that investor charges interest. Depending on the state, anywhere from 8% to 36%. If you can't pay the investor back within the redemption window, the investor can foreclose on your home. You owed the county a few $1,000s. A private company bought your debt for profit and took your house. This is a growing industry. The tax lien market hit $5 billion in 2024, up from $3.8 billion just 3 years earlier. Geraldine Tyler bought a 1-bedroom condo in Minneapolis in 1999. After she moved into an apartment in a safer neighborhood around 2010, the property taxes on the condo went unpaid. The original tax bill was about $2,300. Over several years, with interest and penalties, it grew to about $15,000. Hennepin County seized the condo, sold it for $40,000, kept every penny, gave Geraldine Tyler nothing. Not the difference, not the surplus, nothing. The case went to the Supreme Court. In May 2023, all 9 justices ruled unanimously. What the county did was unconstitutional. The Fifth Amendment says the government cannot take more than it is owed. Chief Justice Roberts wrote the opinion. His words, "The taxpayer must render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, but no more." So the Supreme Court said this was wrong. It stopped, right? No. Through 2025, Illinois was the last state in the nation still stripping equity from homeowners in tax foreclosure. In Cook County alone, more than 1,000 owner-occupied homes have been taken since 2019. Over 125 of those were owned by seniors. In 2024, more than 800 senior homeowners had their tax debt sold at auction, the most in a decade. Their combined debt, $2.3 million. That sounds like a lot until you realize it represents 0.01% of Cook County's $17.6 billion property tax levy. Velma Lewis lost her family home to tax foreclosure. In 2023, she took out a 30-year mortgage to buy back the home where she grew up. A federal judge ruled in December 2025 that Cook County's system was unconstitutional. On May 31, 2026, the Illinois legislature finally passed House Bill 4537 to reform the system. That bill is now awaiting the governor's signature. You have options, but most of them close before you need them. First, apply for your senior property tax exemption or deferral. Most states offer one, but you have to apply. It is not automatic. The deadline is usually between January and April of the year you turn 65. Do not miss it. Second, if you are behind on your taxes, call your county treasurer today. Ask about a payment plan. Do this before the lien is sold. Once an investor buys your debt, the county is out of the picture. Third, know your state's redemption period. Even after a tax sale, you usually have a window to reclaim your property by paying the full amount. And after the Tyler ruling, you are entitled to any surplus equity. If your home is sold for more than you owed, demand that money back. That covers the tax side. What comes next caught millions of seniors completely off guard. The next situation involves a product that millions of seniors signed up for specifically because they were told it was the one thing that could never take their home. They were wrong. One woman in San Bernardino opened a letter after her husband died. It demanded $293,000. She had not missed a single mortgage payment. There were no mortgage payments to miss. This is how a reverse mortgage actually works. You have seen the commercials, celebrity spokespeople, government backing, the promise. You will never lose your home. You stay in it, you access extra income, no monthly mortgage payments. It sounded like a government benefit. It was a loan.
And it came with conditions many borrowers never fully understood. You must continue paying property taxes. You must maintain homeowners insurance. The home has to remain your primary residence, and the property has to be maintained. Fail on any one of those, not a mortgage payment, there are none, and the lender can foreclose. The median income of a reverse mortgage borrower was $26,000 a year as of the most recent cohort data. Many are living on Social Security alone. When property taxes and insurance come due in the same quarter, they can't cover it. The default rate on reverse mortgages went from 2% in 2014 to 18% in 2018. Almost all of it was property taxes and insurance.
USA Today investigated 1.3 million reverse mortgage loan records. What they found: nearly 100,000 reverse mortgages have ended in foreclosure. The hardest hit neighborhoods were urban African American zip codes, foreclosure rates 6 times higher than predominantly white areas. Hardest hit cities: Chicago, Baltimore, Miami, Detroit, Philadelphia, Jacksonville. That San Bernardino woman I mentioned, her husband had a reverse mortgage. She was not listed on it because she was younger than 62. Under the older rules, when the borrower died, the loan was called due immediately. The surviving spouse got a letter: pay the full balance or lose the home. In June 2024, the CFPB permanently banned a reverse mortgage servicing company called Novad from the industry. The violations: falsely telling seniors they were in default and preventing homeowners from proving they still lived in the home. In the same enforcement action, the CFPB ordered Sutherland Global, the company that processed the loans, to pay $11.5 million in consumer redress. If you are considering a reverse mortgage, call a HOOD-approved counseling agency first. The number is 1-800-569-4287. It is free. It is federally required before closing. Take it seriously. Make sure your spouse is listed as a co-borrower if they are 62 or older. If they are younger than 62, understand what happens after your death. Insist on a LESA, a life expectancy set-aside, built into the loan to cover your taxes and insurance so you are never in default on property charges. And if you already have a reverse mortgage and you receive a default notice, do not panic. As of 2024, servicers are required to offer you a repayment plan before foreclosing. The minimum threshold was raised to $5,000. Call a HOOD counselor immediately. If you have a reverse mortgage, make those calls. What comes next has no federal oversight at all, and it does not need a government program or a lender, just your neighbors voting. Your homeowners association can foreclose on a paid-off home. And after that section, the one I mentioned at the top: the government claim that can attach to your home while you are still alive. If you live in a community with a homeowners association, your HOA has the legal authority to place a lien on your home for unpaid dues. In most states, it can foreclose on that lien, even if your mortgage is fully paid off. In Nevada, Tennessee, and Washington, D.C., HOAs have what is called super priority lien status. Their claim jumps ahead of even a first mortgage. Between 2022 and 2025, HOA-related foreclosures jumped 50% nationally, according to Adam Data Solutions. Nearly 285,000 HOA liens were filed in 2025. What makes this dangerous is how fast it escalates. You miss one payment, the HOA adds late fees, attorney fees, interest, administrative charges. A $300 missed payment turns into a $3,500 foreclosure filing within months, and the homeowner often has no idea the charges are piling up. Finda Karoma is a home health nurse. She spends her days caring for elderly patients. She owned her home in Mesquite, Texas for 18 years. During COVID, she lost work and fell behind on HOA dues. What started as missed payments became a bill for $3,542.64, roughly $400 in late fees, roughly $1,900 in legal costs. The rest was interest. The HOA voted to foreclose. The first Karoma heard about it was when she received an eviction notice, 2 years after the foreclosure process started. She lost the home she owned for 18 years. A woman whose job is caring for the elderly, losing the home she owned for 18 years to her homeowners association over $3,500. And this is not about sudden bills alone. A retired, disabled public educator saw her HOA dues climb more than 60%, from $235 a month to $385 a month over 5 years, plus 2 special assessments totaling $3,000 in a single year. On a fixed income, that is not survivable. Pull out your CC&Rs, your covenants, conditions, and restrictions, and read the section on dues and late fees. Know the exact amounts and due dates. If you are already behind or you dispute a charge, put it in writing to the HOA today. Not a phone call, a letter. The fees compound fast and verbal conversations leave no record. Your state may already give you more protection than you think. Texas now requires the HOA to send 2 separate notices and wait 90 days before filing a lien. That passed in 2023. Colorado caps attorney fees at $5,000 or 50% of the debt, whichever is less. California requires at least $1,800 in delinquent assessments before an HOA can foreclose. Look up your state. And if you get any lien notice, talk to an attorney before the fees get bigger, because the next thing the HOA does will cost you more. None of those protections help if you find out too late. The first 3 situations, you can see those coming if you know to look. A tax bill, a lender, an HOA notice. The 4th one, most families never even know to look. The government helps you pay for the nursing home. And then, after you are gone, it sends a letter to your kids. This last one is the reason I made this video. If you have ever had a parent in a nursing home, or if you think you might someday, this is about you. People confuse Medicare and Medicaid. They are not the same program. Medicare is health insurance. It does not come for your home. Medicaid is the needs-based program that pays for long-term care, nursing homes, in-home care, assisted living. 2 different programs, and only one of them can take your house. If you are 55 or older and you receive Medicaid benefits for long-term care, federal law requires your state to seek repayment from your estate after you die. In most cases, that means your home. This has been the law since 1993. All 50 states are required to operate an estate recovery program. No state can opt out. A nursing home through Medicaid can cost $80,000 to $100,000 a year, depending on your state. A 2 or 3 year stay produces a 6-figure claim against your estate. Medicaid is presented as a benefit. It functions as a loan that comes due after you die. 27 states have expanded recovery programs that can go after assets beyond probate, including certain trusts, joint tenancy properties, and transfer on death accounts. States can even place a lien on your home while you are still alive if you are permanently in a nursing facility. Iowa pursues over 15,000 estates per year. In the fiscal year ending June 2024, the state collected $40.2 million, up 14% in 2 years. The work is not done by state employees. It is handled by a private contractor, the Sumo Group, a Des Moines company. In 2024, a family received a letter, printed on official state stationery, sent by Sumo Group. It demanded over $4 million. Their family member, Kristen, a woman with disabilities, had spent most of her life at a state-run institution called Glenwood Resource Center. A few weeks after she died, the bill arrived. A second Iowa family, the Tomlins, received a $4.2 million bill shortly after their son Eric died. Nearly 2/3 of Iowa's estate recovery cases are closed with nothing collected. When money is recovered, the average is about $10,000. The state spends enormous resources chasing thousands of grieving families to collect small amounts. In Texas, the private contractor is HMS. They earn a 12.5% contingency fee on everything they collect. Anne Marie Boyd's brother called her in a panic in April 2024 after opening a letter from HMS. Their mother Marilyn had a stroke and spent 2.5 years in a nursing home. HMS wanted repayment from her estate. Boyd described the experience. It was like wild animals pouncing on meat. The part that surprises people most: writing a will does not protect your home from Medicaid estate recovery. A will ensures your estate goes through probate. Probate is the process through which the state files its Medicaid claim. Leaving the house to your kids in a will puts it directly in the path of recovery. A 2026 peer-reviewed study in the Journal of Health Politics, Policy, and Law concluded that 3 decades of Medicaid estate recovery has been, their words, lots of pain for little gain. According to the most recent national aggregate, the $733 million recovered represents just 0.1% of total Medicaid spending. Before Massachusetts reformed its program in September 2024, over 90% of mass health repayments came from forced sale of the family home. A bill to end estate recovery entirely, the Stop Unfair Medicaid Recoveries Act, was introduced in Congress in 2024. It never received a vote. I am not an attorney, and this is not legal advice, but these are the tools elder law attorneys use, and you should know they exist. First, the standard approach is an irrevocable Medicaid Asset Protection Trust, set up at least 5 years before you need Medicaid. That 5-year window matches Medicaid's look-back period. Anything transferred within that window triggers a penalty. Anything outside it is generally protected. A revocable trust does not work for this. It must be irrevocable. Expect to pay $3,000 to $8,000 with an elder law attorney, depending on your state and the complexity of your estate. If you are in Texas, Florida, Michigan, West Virginia, or Vermont, look into a Ladybird deed. It lets you keep full control during your lifetime, automatically transfers to your kids at death, avoids estate recovery in most cases, and, unlike the trust, can be created even after you start receiving Medicaid. No look-back penalty. Third, know whether your state is probate only or expanded recovery. 23 states can only recover assets that go through probate. If you keep the home out of probate through a living trust or transfer on death deed, the state cannot reach it. 27 states can pursue non-probate assets. Fourth, federal law says the state cannot recover if a surviving spouse, a child under 21, or a blind or disabled child of any age survives the Medicaid recipient. Fifth, hardship waivers exist in every state. In a survey of 10 states, approval rates ranged from 29% in New York to 95% in Iowa. If you qualify, apply. 4 situations. All of them legal, all of them happening right now, and every single one of them has a protection step you can take. Most of them free, the rest a fraction of what you lose if you do nothing. You worked your whole life for that house, you paid it off, you figured it was safe. It is not automatically safe, but it can be. The information is here. The next step is yours. Subscribe. Share this with someone you know who owns a home. They need to hear this before something else happens first.